Hey there, this is Alexis Knight. Welcome to True Crime, the Court of Public Opinion. I'm your host, guiding you through cases that have moved through the courts and reached a conclusion, but have left the public divided. These are not your typical cut and dried cases. These are the ones where the facts may seem clear, but the truth, well, that's another story. In this episode, we dive into the case of Jennifer McKinney, the woman behind the blog My Charming Kids, who seemed to have it all. A bustling family of 8, a thriving online presence, and the picture-perfect life that so many aspired to. But beneath this facade lay a web of financial turmoil and legal trouble that would ultimately shatter that illusion. Imagine being in her shoes, facing the relentless pressure of maintaining your public persona while grappling with mounting debts and fraud allegations. What if you were in a position where every choice you made felt like a gamble? Did Jennifer's actions stem from a place of financial desperation, or were they indicative of a deeper mental struggle? Was she a calculated fraudster, or a mother trying to keep her family afloat in an increasingly challenging world? These questions are at the heart of this case, and as we unravel the complexities of Jennifer McKinney's story, I invite you to keep an open mind. By the end of this episode, you'll face the same dilemma that many have grappled with. Was justice served, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? All right, let's dive in to the complexities surrounding this case of Jennifer McKinney, known to many as McMama. At first glance, her life appeared idyllic. She was a popular mommy blogger who shared her experiences raising 8 kids, capturing the hearts of her audience with stories of family adventures, homeschooling, and the everyday challenges of motherhood. With her engaging writing style and relatability, Jennifer built a substantial online following, leading many to view her as a trusted voice in the parenting community. However, beneath this seemingly perfect facade lay a tumultuous reality that would ultimately unravel her public persona and raise serious questions about her integrity. In 2012, Jennifer and her husband, Israel, filed for bankruptcy, revealing staggering debts that exceeded $1 million. And this shocking revelation sent ripples through her fan base and prompted an avalanche of speculation. How could a family with such a vibrant online presence and a supposed income from blogging find themselves in such dire financial straits? We see people online, we think, well, they must be millionaires, right? They've got the look, they've got the fans. But as the bankruptcy proceedings here unfolded, allegations emerged that the McKinneys had concealed assets and income, suggesting they were not forthcoming about their financial situation. A big no-no, guys, in bankruptcy court. The accusations escalated when it was revealed that Jennifer had been involved in multi-level marketing ventures, claiming to earn a significant income through these channels. This raised eyebrows among her followers, many of whom felt betrayed by someone they had come to trust. Were these marketing endeavors legitimate business efforts? Or were they a part of a facade to cover financial mismanagement? As the situation developed, Jennifer's struggles became a public spectacle, drawing attention not only for the financial implications, but also for the psychological toll it appeared to take on her. The mounting pressure of maintaining her online persona while grappling with financial collapse is a theme that resonates with many. Imagine being in her position, where every social media post had to reflect an image of success and happiness. Influencers know this, but in this case, well, the reality was much darker. So you're trying to portray this image, and you need to keep any money coming in when really you're falling apart behind the scenes. I mean, how many of us would feel compelled to present a perfect life, even if things are falling apart. Somehow you won't have the fans if you're having troubles. And this brings us to the crux of the dilemma. Was Jennifer McKinney a victim of her circumstances? A mother trying to navigate the pressures of life while under the spotlight? Or was she a manipulative figure who exploited her audience for personal gain? As we explore her story, we must grapple with the blurred lines between ambition and deceit. Well, Jennifer McKinney found herself with problems. Known as McMama, she faced allegations of bankruptcy fraud during her 2011 bankruptcy proceedings. The trustee accused her and her husband of concealing assets and income, including undisclosed PayPal accounts and photography business earnings. In October of 2012, they did reach a settlement with the trustee, agreeing to pay $3,500 for the value of non-exempt assets and waiving their bankruptcy discharge, meaning they remained responsible for their debts. And this is a very serious thing if you lie to the bankruptcy courts. Good luck getting help with any of that again. And this settlement resolved the bankruptcy fraud without any trial actually happening. But what brought her to this? These kinds of situations don't always involve murder. And while many of you might feel that a bankruptcy fraud case lacks the gravity of a murder trial, murder and this, they both unveil profound societal issues, they raise ethical questions, and they highlight the challenges of human behavior, which is so much of what we discuss here. At the heart of both murder and fraud cases like this lies the theme of trust. Now, in McKinney's case, she cultivated a relationship with her followers built on perceived authenticity and transparency. And we all follow people. We are the followers of others, and we expect them to be what we think they are. We're enjoying what they're giving us. So in this case, when that trust was betrayed, it not only affected her life, but it also impacted her community and the followers who looked up to her. And this is important because this is happening everywhere, every day around the world. Understanding this dynamic sheds light on the emotional and psychological consequences of deception. In social media, so much of it is deception. Much like the impact of betrayal found in violent crimes. This case serves as a case study in the challenges of maintaining a public persona, something we're watching every day. Both fraud and murder carry significant repercussions, not just for the individuals involved, but families and communities. McKinney's actions resulted in financial ruin for her and disappointment for her followers, mistrust. This all changes people psychologically. And as we are learning in this podcast, the psychological situation for any one person can help influence and determine their actions and direction. We are all just a culmination of experiences that lead us to be who we are. At one point, do we hold someone accountable for their actions when there are mental health struggles involved, societal expectations involved, and personal desperation of the person? In our current age of social media where public perception can shift in an instant, the question becomes even more pressing. Is it fair to judge someone for trying to keep up appearances in a world that demands perfection? You want them to be perfect, but you don't want them to lie to you. The nuances of Jennifer's case highlight a broader issue: how we perceive and respond to those in the public eye. There's a tendency to view influencers and public figures as living examples of success. You want what they have. Yet we often fail to recognize the intense pressures they face on a daily basis. When their reality diverges from the narrative they present, do we consider the human factors at play, or do we rush to condemn them for perceived failures? As we unravel the layers of this case, consider this. How do we reconcile our admiration for those who share their lives online with the potential for exploitation? You want to look up to this person, but they're using you and lying to you, and making an income off of you. Jennifer's journey raises critical questions about trust and vulnerability and the consequences of presenting a carefully curated life to the world, a world full of real people with real feelings, real opinions. Moreover, the media's role in this saga can't be overlooked. Never can. Sensational headlines and public commentary can create an atmosphere of judgment that complicates matters further. Did the media contribute to the perception of Jennifer as a villain? Or did they merely reflect the sentiments of a public seeking accountability? And this leads us to another pressing question. How much of her situation was a product of her own choices? And how much was influenced by the expectations of her audience and the society at large? As we consider these issues, let's not forget the personal toll this has taken on Jennifer and her family. By the end of this episode, you're going to need to confront your own biases and beliefs. Was Jennifer McKinney guilty of financial fraud? Or is she an emblem of a system that pressures individuals to perform and present a perfect life, even when everything is falling apart? The distinction between guilt and innocence is often muddied, especially when mental health and societal pressures intertwine in such complex ways. As we dive deeper into the facts of this case, I encourage you to keep an open mind. The questions we face are not simply about right and wrong. They're about understanding the intricate dynamics that shape human behavior. So let's explore this case of Jennifer McKinney together. And by the end, you're going to have the chance to decide for yourself, was justice truly served, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Jennifer McKinney's case stands out not only for its financial implications, but also for the broader questions that it raises regarding public perception. As Jennifer's story unfolded, it became clear that opinions on her actions were deeply divided. On one hand, there were those who viewed her as a victim of circumstance, a mother overwhelmed by the pressures of maintaining a perfect image while grappling with financial ruin. On the other hand, many saw her as a manipulator, someone who exploited her followers for personal gain. This duality highlights a significant aspect of the controversy surrounding this case, the struggle between empathy and judgment. In an age where societal media creates influencers who share curated snapshots of their lives, we often forget that behind the screen, reality can be vastly different. For Jennifer, the pressure to portray an ideal family life likely contributed to her decision-making. But at what point does that pressure become an excuse for deception? The public's reaction to Jennifer's situation was further fueled by media coverage, which often sensationalized her story. Headlines focusing on bankruptcy and fraud allegations overshadowed the human element of her struggle. This raises an important question. How much responsibility does the media bear in shaping public perception? Sensational stories can lead to a rushed judgment, painting individuals in a negative light without fully understanding their circumstances. As Jennifer navigated the fallout from her bankruptcy, she became a target for online criticism and scrutiny. Many followers who once admired her now felt betrayed, believing she had deceived them. And this sense of betrayal fueled the narrative that she was not only financially irresponsible, but also morally bankrupt. The pressure from her audience and the scrutiny from the media created a storm that compounded her struggles, turning what could have been a moment of personal growth into a public spectacle. The psychological toll on Jennifer cannot be overstated. The demands of maintaining her online persona while facing financial ruin and allegations of fraud would be overwhelming for anyone. The stigma surrounding mental health often leaves individuals feeling isolated, and Jennifer's case serves as a reminder of the challenges of mental well-being in the public eye. Society tends to view mental health struggles as signs of weakness, but in reality, they can lead to desperate actions, clouding judgment and leading to choices that may seem incomprehensible from the outside. And this leads us to another layer of the controversy: the social expectations placed on women, particularly those in the public sphere. Jennifer's case exemplifies the harsh judgment that mothers in particular face when their lives don't align with societal ideals. The pressure to be a perfect parent and partner and professional can create a toxic environment where women feel they must present an unblemished image. For Jennifer, the stakes were higher due to her public persona. The narrative surrounding her case prompts us to consider: how do societal expectations influence the decisions women make, especially when they feel their identities are at risk? Moreover, the impact of social media also cannot be overlooked. Platforms like Instagram and Facebook create a landscape where success is measured by likes and shares and followers. In this digital world, authenticity often takes a back seat to the desire for approval. Jennifer's story illustrates the dangers of this environment, where the pressure to maintain an image can lead to reckless decisions. This raises another vital question: how do we hold individuals accountable for their actions in a society that values perception over reality? How can we hold individuals accountable for their actions when it's society that's demanding them, and society that gives its approval? In examining Jennifer's case, we must also consider the concept of privilege. As a white woman with a platform, Jennifer had access to resources that many do not. This is true. However, her experience highlights the pitfalls of that privilege when coupled with societal pressures. While some may argue that her circumstances should garner sympathy, others contend that privilege comes with a responsibility to act ethically, and this tension complicates our understanding of her actions and the implications they carry. The controversy surrounding Jennifer McKinney's case is a mirror reflecting our collective attitudes toward mental health, public personas, and the pressures of modern motherhood. As we analyze her actions, we must confront our own biases and the ways in which societal norms shape our judgments. Is Jennifer a villain in her story? Or is she a flawed individual caught in an unforgiving system? The answers are not straightforward. We've talked a lot about pressures and image, social media. Let's look at the facts of what was going on around Jennifer McKinney, widely known as McMama. Well, her journey began in the online world as a mommy blogger in the early 2000s. Her blog, My Charming Kids. It quickly gained popularity for its candid portrayal of life as a mother to 8 children. With her relatable writing style and honest reflections on parenting, Jennifer created a community that resonated with many. Her stories depicted the joys and the challenges of managing a large family, which endeared her to a loyal following. As her blog grew, so did her public persona. Jennifer's carefully curated posts showcased a picture-perfect life, highlighting her family outings, homeschooling adventures, and various parenting milestones. Her followers often looked to her as an example of resilience and positivity in the chaotic world of motherhood. However, beneath this idyllic facade lay a troubling reality, one that would ultimately lead to her financial downfall. So in 2012, Jennifer and her husband, Israel, they filed for bankruptcy, revealing debts exceeding $1 million, like I said. Now, this shocking revelation sent ripples through her fan base. Many were questioning how someone who appeared so successful could face such dire financial straits. The bankruptcy filing disclosed liabilities over $1.1 million against assets of only $60,000. This stark disparity raised eyebrows and fueled speculation about the couple's financial practices. As investigation into their finances began, allegations emerged that the McKinneys had concealed assets and income during those bankruptcy proceedings. The bankruptcy trustee highlighted several discrepancies, including undisclosed PayPal accounts, income from Jennifer's blogging activities. These revelations painted a troubling picture of a family living beyond their means while also misleading their audience. The narrative around Jennifer's bankruptcy quickly evolved. What had initially seemed like a story of this struggling mother transformed into a tale of betrayal and deceit. As the public learned more about her financial troubles, many followers felt misled, believing they had supported an honest portrayal of motherhood. This feeling of betrayal fueled the narrative that she was not only financially irresponsible, but that she was also morally compromised. In addition to the bankruptcy allegations, Jennifer's involvement in multi-level marketing, MLM ventures, they added another layer to this whole situation. She had promoted products from various MLM companies, claiming to earn significant income through these businesses. However, as her financial struggles became public, her claims of success were met with skepticism. Followers began to question the legitimacy of her income and whether she had been transparent about her financial situation. And as the public scrutiny intensified, Jennifer faced immense pressure to still maintain her image while dealing with the fallout from her financial issues. The emotional toll of these challenges was evident, balancing the responsibility as a mother with the demands of her online persona became increasingly difficult. The anxiety of being judged by her audience likely compounded the stress she was already experiencing due to her financial collapse. The bankruptcy proceedings ultimately concluded with Jennifer and Israel agreeing to waive their discharge, meaning they would stay liable for their debts. This outcome left many followers feeling disillusioned because we know the bankruptcy courts are serious. I mean, how could someone who portrayed an image of success and happiness face any of this? And the question lingered in their minds. Jennifer attempted to rebuild her life and her brand in the aftermath of this bankruptcy debacle, but the lingering allegations and public scrutiny made it challenging to regain the trust of her audience. Many former supporters felt that they had been duped, raising concerns about her accountability and ethics in a world of online influencers. This disillusionment turned Jennifer into a polarizing figure with opinions sharply divided on her actions and her motivations. And let's remember, this is a financially stressed woman raising 8 children. And her husband's there, he's just as stressed. But she's the one sort of on the front lines. The pressure had to be unimaginable. And then, of course, you had the media, who played a significant role in, of course, shaping the narrative surrounding Jennifer's case. Sensational headlines focusing on that bankruptcy and the fraud allegations often overshadowed any human element of her struggles. The portrayal of Jennifer as a villain led to further public outcry and intensified the scrutiny she faced. And this raises an important question: how much responsibility does the media bear in shaping public perception? Is it fair? Sensational stories can lead to a rush of judgment, painting individuals in a negative light without fully understanding their circumstances. What if this were you? I always say, imagine yourself in these situations. If you thought you were going to be a social media rock star and you were just trying to hold together everything long enough until that big win of being viral comes in and all this stuff is great again, you are hurting yourself. You're spending too much. You're buying clothes and outfits, and you're traveling and taking photos and buying programs to make yourself look better. And you get involved in this. You want the win. Are you going to let it go? And then to be judged, trying to do what you see everyone else doing. I mean, Jennifer's case highlights an issue here in the digital age: how public personas can mask the difficulties of their very real personal circumstances. Influencers can curate their lives to present an idealized version of reality, leading to unrealistic expectations for their followers. And this dynamic raises critical questions about the authenticity and responsibilities that come with having a platform. There are a lot of psychological factors at play here. You have the pressure to maintain an image, and this can lead individuals to make choices that defy logic, certainly defy what they would normally do at times, especially when compounded by mental health struggles and the expectations in society of what you should be doing, what you should be. The stigma around mental health often leaves individuals feeling isolated. And in Jennifer's case, well, it's a reminder of these difficulties when mental well-being is also in the public eye. Let's look at the arguments. And now I've used the word prosecution, but really this was the bankruptcy trustee that was dealing with this in civil court. So perhaps as I go forward, I will use plaintiff and defendant. So from the plaintiff's position, the evidence that was against Jennifer McKinney was clear and it was compelling. The allegations of bankruptcy fraud stemmed from the McKinney family's failure to disclose significant assets and income during their bankruptcy proceedings. Serious. And they argued that Jennifer deliberately misled her followers and the bankruptcy court, engaging, therefore, in a calculated effort to conceal financial information. Their key points: the concealment of assets. You cannot hide your assets from bankruptcy court. They also emphasized the disconnect between Jennifer's public persona as a successful mommy blogger and the reality of her situation financially. And they argued that her actions constituted a betrayal of trust as she presented herself as a relatable figure while engaging in dishonest practices behind the scenes. They also pointed to the McKinneys, I should say, their significant debts as evidence of their poor financial decisions. And they argued that Jennifer's lifestyle, as depicted in her blog, suggested a level of financial irresponsibility that ultimately led to her downfall. And this narrative framed her actions as not only dishonest, but reckless. So I hope you can see that everything combined was contributing to her being reckless, to a broader pattern of behavior. And it raised questions about her character at that point. And then they also raised concerns about the impact of her actions on her followers, and that she should be responsible for that, because by promoting a lifestyle that appeared financially sustainable, she could have influenced others, encouraging them to make similar choices without disclosing the actual risks involved. You see someone successful, you're going to do what they do, especially when they're talking to you about it, only to find out they lied to you for their own financial gain. Well, in this case, this angle reinforced the notion that her actions had broader implications, extending beyond her personal circumstances. And that becomes irresponsible. But then you have the defense, of course, always, and they argued that Jennifer's mental health played a significant role in her decision-making during this period. They assert that the pressures of maintaining public persona while dealing with financial difficulties contributed to her actions. The defense emphasizes that mental health issues can cloud judgment, leading individuals to make decisions they might not otherwise consider. They also pointed out the unrealistic expectations placed on women, placed on mothers in the public sphere. The pressure to present a perfect image was just too much. And this perspective frames Jennifer as a victim of the societal norms rather than someone who's a perpetrator. And then you have the ambiguity of intent. The defense challenged the prosecution's claims of intentional deceit, and they argued there is ambiguity surrounding Jennifer's actions. They suggest that the complexities of her financial situation may have led to misunderstandings regarding what needed to be disclosed. But this raises critical questions about the intent of her actions. And then The defense also, of course, highlighted the support Jennifer received from her followers throughout her journey. Many of her fans, over time, expressed sympathy for her struggles, indicating that they understood the challenges of balancing public life with personal hardships. So did this not bring an understanding to the bankruptcy courts? This support that they're bringing up suggests that her audience saw her as relatable. They saw that they could understand what she was going through. They felt bad for her. They did not see her as deceptive. And so this further complicated the prosecution's argument. Social media influencers are all around us. These cases are going to be on the rise, and we are going to see them more and more. There's some cases on the books right now that are not yet at trial. One of them is a murder having to do with a social media influencer. The pressures to be what you need to be are causing people to act out in ways they might not ever act out. And in that case, where does the responsibility lie? If you're supposed to fit in and this is how the game is played, are you wrong for playing it? It's a tough question. Let's recap quickly the key points of this particular case. On one hand, we have the prosecution's argument, which presents Jennifer as someone who intentionally misled her followers and concealed significant financial difficulties during her bankruptcy proceedings. They argue that her actions constitute a betrayal of trust, as she presented herself as a relatable figure while engaging in dishonest practices. This perspective paints a clear picture: a person who exploited their platform for personal gain. Plain and simple. That would be the plaintiff's position. Now, on the defense side, it's also a compelling counter-narrative that emphasizes the immense pressures that come with being a public figure. They highlight Jennifer's mental health struggles and the societal expectations that may have influenced her decision-making. And from this viewpoint, Jennifer's actions are not rooted in malice, but in desperation and the overwhelming need to maintain an idealized image in the eyes of her followers. And this perspective challenges us to consider the complexities of her situation and whether her behavior was truly indicative of fraud, or was it a cry for help? As you reflect on these arguments and this case, consider these questions as you try to figure out if you can decide if she should be guilty or innocent. What role does public perception play in shaping individual behavior? How do we determine accountability when mental health struggles intersect with personal choices? What influence does the media have on our perceptions of individuals in the public eye? And how much weight should we give those societal pressures that show us you can be successful, happy, and fine, but yet in your own personal situation, you must deceive those around you, make choices you would never make in order to maybe reach that? Is that something to consider? Remember that the line between victim and perpetrator can often be blurred. Jennifer McKinney's case prompts us to reflect on our biases and the assumptions we make about individuals based on public personas. By examining the nuances of her story, we can better appreciate the complexities of human behavior and the factors that drive our decisions. So as you weigh the evidence and reflect on what you have heard here, ask yourself, was justice served for Jennifer McKinney's case? Is there more to the story than meets the eye? Jennifer's case is a smaller case, I'd say, compared to so many. It still stands for the same points, the same questions I asked you. The answers may not be straightforward, but your engagement with these questions can be crucial in helping all of us understand the broader implications of social media, the pressures, and a journey like Jennifer's. Thank you for joining me in True Crime, the Court of Public Opinion. Stay safe out there, guys. Stay curious. Ask the questions. And until next time, this is Alexis Knight.